First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Amy Galo.
And I'm Isabella Leandri. Thanks for joining us. It's Halloween.
Yes, it is, and it's definitely one of my favorite holidays. And I'm so excited to see that the weather is actually going to be nice tonight for anybody taking their little ones trick-or-treating. Mariana Larsen has more on the weather.
Happy Halloween from all of us at WUFT. Here in the studio, we are all celebrating about these warm temperatures that we're feeling right now. Mid-80s across the board, but it will cool down a little bit just in time for some trick-or-treating. We're gonna see 70s tonight, so don't worry, it won't be too cool, and you don't have to worry about grabbing a jacket for the little ones. Tonight, we are going to see temperatures hit lows of the mid-60s, but don't worry, that won't be until the kids are tucked away in bed and hopefully not sneaking candy underneath the covers, am I right? I'll have more on the full forecast later in the show, but for now, back to the desk.
Santa Fe College's annual Boo at the Zoo food drive is fighting food insecurity in North Florida. WUFT News' Francis Kapper joins us now from Santa Fe College for this spooky event. Francis, how scary is it?
Amy, this event is more cute than scary, as you can see from this adorable army that I have formed. The event started forming these decorations at 8 a.m. this morning. As you can see, the line to donate canned goods has already started forming behind me. This is the 26th annual Boo at the Zoo festival that has been held at Santa Fe Teaching College. This festival was originally envisioned by students more than 25 years ago. The event started at 3 p.m. and goes until 7:30 tonight. Participants need to donate one canned food or non-perishable food item per person for admission. Teaching Zoo Director Jonathan Mio says the event helps unite the community in more ways than one.
One way to give back is not only provide free trick-or-treating opportunities for the kids, but to collect canned good items. And so we are expecting about 5,000 canned goods.
Games, animal encounters for everybody who attends. Director Mio says that all canned goods that are distributed here will be returned back to the UF community. My name is Francis Kapper, WUFT News.
At least one person was killed in an overnight shooting in Tallahassee, Florida this past weekend. Police say a number of people started shooting at a liquor store just before midnight Saturday. Officers responding to the gunfire found an adult male who had died from his injuries. At least 8 other people were hurt. Police observed an armed man shooting into a large crowd before running away from the scene. Officers then shot the man, who had non-life-threatening injuries and was taken into custody. 2 other suspects are also in custody.
Authorities in Jacksonville are looking into an anti-Semitic message projected at TIAA Bank Field Saturday night. The SEC, the University of Florida, and the University of Georgia have all condemned the incident. Bree Isom reports on how this fits into a worrisome bigger picture.
There should be a place that is welcoming to all faiths, all religions, all race, all creed.
The CEO of the Jewish Federation and Foundation of Northeast Florida says she's saddened to hear about the anti-Semitic occurrences in Jacksonville.
The Jewish community of Northeast Florida, without say, condemns any type of hate rhetoric, whether it's Jewish hate, whether it's any other type of religious, race, or community hatred. It should not be tolerated.
On Saturday, we were sent this picture of a banner at Sesame in Arlington that reads, "Kanye was right about the Jews." That same phrase was seen Saturday night projected on TIAA Bank Field. This comes after Kanye West shared anti-Semitic tweets. On Friday, people held these banners over Chaffee and I-10 that read, "End Jewish supremacy in America," and "Honk if you know it's the Jews."
We've been in touch with JSO and the FBI. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's freedom of speech. So I'm a proud Jew and I'm a proud American. And I want to live, and I want our community, I want my family, I want my neighbors, I want our entire community to live in a place where they feel safe and secure.
Feast says the Federation and Foundation is creating a community security director to watch over Jewish synagogues, schools, offices to make sure there are no physical attacks on the Jewish community. They're also creating a community relations council that will be the voice of the Jewish community and reach out to elected officials about the hatred that's happening.
I wish there was like an answer for how you stop all of this. But this has been going on for centuries. To start educating children of all faiths, all beliefs, all walks of life, to respect and have tolerance for each other. That's what makes America the melting pot. We're all bringing our differences.
Thursday marked the 4-year anniversary of the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in American history. That's when a gunman killed 11 people in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh on Sunday. The University of Florida and the University of Georgia came together to make a joint statement on social media condemning the anti-Semitic hate speech projected outside TIAA Bank Field. In other news, Ben Sasse will be back at the University of Florida tomorrow to meet with the UF Board of Trustees. Here, they will consider Sasse for the position. This comes after the UF Faculty Senate approved a no-confidence vote on Thursday, 72-16, which led to Sasse being named the sole finalist to be the next UF president. The Nebraska Republican has faced a lot of backlash from the student population. Many feel that they were not included in the candidate selection process or disagree with his political views.
With the 2022 election upon us, about half of Florida's voters are expected to vote before Election Day. As of this morning, nearly 2.8 million Floridians had finished. Early voting stood at over 800,000, and the count for mail-in ballots was rapidly approaching 2 million. In most counties, the last day of early voting will be Saturday. Sunday is optional, and only 18 counties will offer that final weekend opportunity. And if you live in Gainesville and haven't voted yet, you might want to first watch our mayoral debate between Harvey Ward and Ed Belarski. They clash this week at the UF Levin College of Law. We'll repeat the hour debate tomorrow at 8 p.m., and it will air one last time on Saturday, November 5th at 7 o'clock. Florida's gas tax holiday is coming to an end, so the new month may bring a jolt in prices at the pump. Floridians have filled up their tank for the past month without worrying about a gas tax. This came out to 25 cents per gallon in savings, reducing the price of a gallon of gas from $3.39 to $3.17 over the first 5 days of October. But tomorrow, this comes to an end. Drivers can expect gas to be 25 cents more expensive. According to AAA, the average price sits at $3.29. Tomorrow, it should rise to about $3.54.
Coming up on WFT News First at 5, hundreds of deaths occurred over the weekend across the world.
We'll tell you where and how after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Another wave of Russian missile strikes hit critical infrastructure across Ukraine today. It may partially be in response to an attack on Russian ships, which prompted Russia to suspend its deal over grain shipments by sea. Molly Hunter reports on the living conditions with power and water unreliable.
Now, we are still in the Kyiv region. We can't say exactly what town we're in, but we're just down the road from a huge energy plant. According to the Kyiv mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, this energy plant up the road supplies power to 350,000 apartments. All of those people mostly lost power today. Now, according to Ukraine's prime minister, more than a dozen, nearly 20 critical infrastructure facilities, mostly power and energy plants, were hit today with cruise missiles. In Kyiv, we heard the first alarms just around 7 a.m. We heard the first explosions just after 8 a.m. We've been talking to people who live near this power plant about how today changed the situation from them. Prior to today, they had rolling blackouts like much of the country. We're heading into a cold winter. Energy power is running low across the country. And today, people say they lost gas, they lost power completely, not just rolling blackouts, and they lost water. Now, according to the main water supplier for the capital, they say 80% of consumers are now without water. So we are heading in, look, it is the end of October. It is getting very cold here. We are heading into a very cold winter, and most people have no power, no water, and are trying to figure out how they're going to survive. Molly Hunter, NBC News, near Kyiv.
Former leftist President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva gained another shot at power by defeating incumbent Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil's presidential election. The country's Superior Electoral Court verified the win. The court said da Silva, universally known as Lula, secured slightly more than 50.9% of the vote. Lula was Brazil's president from 2003 to 2010 before being convicted on corruption charges. Brazil's Supreme Court annulled his conviction last year on the grounds that the judge had colluded with prosecutors.
South Korean police are investigating what caused a crowd surge that killed more than 150 people, including 26 foreigners, during Halloween festivities in Seoul. Saturday's disaster was concentrated in a sloped, narrow alley in a popular nightlife district. Witnesses and survivors recalled chaos with people falling on each other like dominoes. Officers have obtained videos taken by about 50 security cameras in the area and are analyzing video clips posted on social media. They have interviewed more than 40 witnesses and survivors so far. Police are trying to find exactly when and why the crowd surge started.
In India, a newly released video shows a deadly bridge collapse. At least 134 people died when the 230-meter footbridge collapsed. It was packed with sightseers enjoying the Diwali, or Festival of Lights, and Chhath Puja holidays. Witnesses say many of the people who fell into the river were children. A search is underway for possible survivors. And now we are joined by Mariana Larsen, who is giving us the latest weather update.
It's the spookiest night of the year, but is the weather going to reflect that?
We are going to see some spooky fog creep into our area just in time for Halloween night. I'll let you know what you need to do to prepare for that after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
You are taking a look at the last glimpses of daylight on this very spooky holiday. It's Halloween and it's time to prepare for those night activities. But first, let's take a look at our current temperatures right now. It is feeling pretty warm out there, mid-80s across the board, but thankfully it is going to cool down just in time for that trick-or-treating. Let's take a look at that. We're going to be feeling around the 70s tonight, so you don't need a jacket if you are going out, but also if you're dressed in a full-on suit, you might get a little hot, so consider layering up. Tonight we are going to see some patchy fog in our area, so make sure you are carrying either something reflective or something with light. Consider glow sticks, make it a little fun. Here's the look at the fog for tomorrow morning. We're gonna see that fog all across I-75, so if you take that route, make sure you leave a few minutes earlier to avoid some extra traffic. Now going into tomorrow's hour by hour, it is going to be pretty hot tomorrow. We're going to see highs in the upper 80s, so it's going to feel a lot warmer than it usually does this time of year. But also, we are used to the heat. We're here in Florida. We know how it goes, but thankfully it is going to cool down later on in the week. We're expecting to see a cold front on Wednesday, and that's going to bring us a chance of showers, which we're pretty used to by now. But by that cold front passing, we are going to see those temperatures dip just a little bit on Thursday and Friday, which will bring some nicer temperatures. Still going to stay in the 80s though. Take a look at the 6th day. We are going to see those temperatures dip down just a little bit, but overall it is going to bring right back up by the weekend. We're going to see those mid 80s again. All week we aren't going to get too much bad weather. Wednesday we do have that chance of showers, but overall it's going to stay cloudy but pretty nice overall. Back to you.
He's number 1 on the field, but he will have to look for new colors for a 3rd time.
The Gators dismissed linebacker Brenton Cox Jr. from the team this morning. WUFT's Shawn Humphrey will have that and more with sports after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back to sports. I'm Shawn Humphrey. Breaking news came out of the Gator football program late this morning. Redshirt junior Brenton Cox Jr. is now a former Florida Gator. Head coach Billy Napier dismissed the linebacker from the team for unknown reasons. This news comes just 2 days after the Gators were blown out by Cox's former team, the Georgia Bulldogs. In 2.5 seasons with Florida, Cox registered 137 tackles and 15.5 sacks. Napier said the decision was in the team's best interest.
You know, I think that being a football player at the University of Florida is a privilege, right? And there's certain expectations and standards that come with that. Brenton's been here in his third year. Obviously, he's done a lot of good things for the University of Florida, and we wish him nothing but the best. But, you know, sometimes, you know, you have to make decisions in the best interest of the team.
It was an ugly one in Jacksonville, Gators in the gutter. The Bulldogs took the victory 42-20. Georgia took the lead on their second drive and went into halftime with a 25-point lead. The Gators got within 8, but Georgia's defense shined in the fourth. Ahead of tomorrow's college football playoff rankings, the team remains undefeated. Looking ahead to this weekend, Florida heads to Kyle Field to play the Texas A&M Aggies. Both teams are 1-4 against SEC opponents. Cornerback Jaden Hill expects it to be a loud one.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was COVID year. But they did have probably the most packed stadium out of like everywhere that we went that year. So I just know since like it's no restrictions, I know it'll be pretty rowdy this upcoming weekend.
Kickoff in College Station is set for noon on Saturday. In other SEC news, the door might not hit you on the way out, but if you're a head coach in college football, the money bags might. Auburn's Brian Harsin has been fired after less than 2 seasons. Auburn owes Harsin roughly $15 million after buying out his contract. In 1.5 seasons, Harsin had a 9-12 record. He becomes the first Auburn coach to finish his tenure with a losing record since Earl Brown finished 3-22-4 from 1948 through 1950. Auburn has yet to name an interim coach.
One lucky lottery player could be in for a very big treat Halloween night. With no winner on Saturday night, the Powerball jackpot stands at a staggering $1 billion. It's only the second time in Powerball's 30-year history that the jackpot has hit this amount. Saturday's winning numbers were 19, 31, 40, 46, 57, with a Powerball of 23. 7 tickets matched 5 numbers, but not the Powerball, according to the Multi-State Lottery Association. The next drawing is tonight and is expected to be the second largest jackpot in Powerball history. The biggest of all time was $1.586 billion in January 2016.
Before we go, one last check on the weather.
Grab your wands, grab your tiaras, and grab your spirit. It's time to do some trick-or-treating. We're going to be seeing 70s tonight, and it is going to be a cool one. Let's take a look at the 6 days, 80s all week long. Back to you.
Thanks, Mariana. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.